You have broken free from the invisible chains that tied you with, and now someone is trying to understand how you did this. They are trying to comprehend what happened because they remember the old you that was so quiet, that would stay even after being maltreated, that would accept what was not right just to make peace. And now they cannot recognize the strength that they see standing in front of them because something has changed, and that change, that thing that has changed, cannot be reversed. You were once in a place where you felt very small, where your thoughts felt controlled and your decisions were shaped by fear and pressure. It seemed like every step you took needed to be approved or questioned, but something began to shift inside of you in the way no one could fully see, because your awakening did not happen in one loud moment. It happened in many silent realizations that kept building inside your spirit. You started to see clearly what you once ignored, and you started to feel strongly about things you once tolerated. And even though it was uncomfortable, even though it caused confusion, even though it made you feel alone at times, you did not turn away from that truth. Because deep inside, you knew staying the same would cost you more than changing ever could. You began to outgrow the chains that once held you, and those chains were not always visible because some of them were words that were spoken over you. Some of them were expectations that were placed on you, and some of them were fears that were planted in your mind to keep you from moving forward. But one by one, those chains began to lose power over you as you started to stand in your truth. Now you are walking differently, speaking differently, thinking differently, and the same people who ever felt comfortable around the old version of you are now uncomfortable with who you have become, because your freedom exposes the limitations they tried to place on you, and your growth reminds them that you were never as weak as they had believed you were. And now there is someone who is silently asking questions, trying to figure out what happened, wondering what changed, who spoke to you, what caused you to break free, because they cannot accept that the powers they see right now in you had always existed inside of you. They are looking for an explanation that makes sense to them. But your transformation does not fit into their understanding, because they believed that you would always remain in the position they had placed you in. Breaking free was not easy, but you did it because someone handed you freedom. Because something inside of you refused to stay longer than it had already done. Even when it meant facing discomfort, walking alone, letting go of people, habits, environments that once felt familiar to you. There were moments when you doubted yourself, moments when you questioned if you were doing the right thing, moments when the weight of everything felt so heavy on your shoulders. But even in those moments, you kept moving forward, even if it was only one step at a time, because something in you knew that going back was no longer an option. Now the same people who once overlooked you are paying attention to you, who once dismissed you are now observing you. And the same people who once underestimated you are now trying to understand you, because your growth has made it possible for them to ignore your presence anymore. They are trying to study your strength, to analyze your silence, and to figure out how you became so firm and unshaken. But what they do not understand is that your strength was built in the moments they did not see, in the nights you had to face yourself, in times you had to choose yourself, and in the decisions you made when no one else was there to guide you. You are no longer the person who waits for permission. You are no longer the person who explains yourself to be understood, because you have reached a place where your peace matters more than their approval, and your clarity matters more than their confusion. There is a separation happening right now, and it is not always loud or obvious, but it is real because you can feel it. You can feel the distance between who you are becoming and who they expected you to remain. And even though that distance may feel uncomfortable at times, it is necessary for your continual growth. You have stepped into a new awareness, and with this awareness comes responsibility, because now that you are seeing clearly, you cannot go back to pretending. You cannot go back to shrinking, and you cannot go back to accepting less than what aligns with your truth. The chains that once held you have lost their grip. And even though someone is trying to figure out how you broke free, the truth is that your freedom was always meant for you. It was always part of your journey, and it was always waiting for the moment you would choose yourself fully. You are not the same, and you were never meant to be the same. You were never meant to stay the same, because growth requires change, and change requires courage. You have already proven that you have the courage within you. So let them wonder. Let them question. Let them try to understand, because your journey is not for them to understand, to control, to define. Your journey is yours, and the freedom you now walk in is something no one can take away from you, because it was built from within. And anything built from within cannot be easily broken. Keep moving forward in that freedom. Keep standing in that truth, and keep walking in that strength, because what you have stepped into is real.